Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So today we will be talking about Secrets of Divine Love and its journal by Helwa. Okay, so a few days ago, Maal Hijrah, which is the Islamic New Year, have just commenced on the 30th of July. And what better way to start this Islamic New Year with an Islamic self-help book. Here we have Secrets of Divine Love by Helwa, and also the journal that I bought somewhere early this year, I believe. And I just recently started doing this journal. But before we get to this, we have to talk about where it all begins. I actually feel like it's kind of cathartic considering that I have just gotten rid the most negative video in my laptop with my last review. Check it out, by the way. It's actually my spiciest video ever. So Secrets of Divine Love was released in 2020, which was just in time for like the messiest 2 years of our lives, and I only read it back in 2021. And it is one of those rare self-help books that I read, liked, and I actually felt like I was helped. So as I've mentioned before, I really don't read much self-help books because I prefer, when it comes to self-help, I actually prefer the video format. And when it comes to, even with all the religious stuff, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with religious sermons, especially the local ones, because although they are very insightful most of the time, but then, and some of the ustaz and ustazah have mastered the art of edutainment. However, there are some few of the local ustaz that have inside so much drama in them that it's really hard to take them seriously. Although I think that part of it comes from my weakness as a human being, but I still think that shouldn't happen in the first place. And I have heard some sessions where they say some things that I feel like it's kind of a misinformation. I felt it to be very dangerous coming from someone that is so influential. For instance, I've heard someone said that SH and S is a form of revenge to people who have hurt them. And I was thinking that someone must have been watching 13 Reasons Why and did not consult the proper experts on mental health. And I'm just like, And when it comes to religious self-help books, they are rarely delivered in an entertaining, relatable way to attract readers. And you will also get some of the ustaz that's going to say that, delivering religion doesn't have to be entertaining. Well, I do understand that what he's trying to say, but it feels kind of tone deaf with the current social climate, and like you're supposed to attract people to hear you, not push them away from you. While I understand the notion that if you want knowledge, you're supposed to seek it, but you're like a preacher. You're supposed to make knowledge desirable in a world of so many distractions. It's a bitter truth that you just have to swallow. You just gotta move with times whether you like it or not. And surprisingly though, Helwa's approach to this is actually unique and refreshing. She's not trying to be an ustazah, but the whole book feels like a spiritual journey with a friend. It's like I have a friend that I can relate to and we're doing this together. And honestly, the idea of a book is that you're not supposed to feel alone. Helwa takes the rational approach by weaving together verses and teaching from prophets, Rumi, and along with some poetry and psychology and science to help readers to reignite their faith and overcome their doubts. And this actually makes the books feels refreshing and relatable and not preachy at all. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you're not Muslim, or you're an atheist, or just someone believing in something bigger out there. The point is, the book has a universal feel to it, and it is done in a way that is like, when you read it, it's like, aha, there it is, there's that moment, and you got that light bulb moment, and it will force you to like think about something. And there are actually quite so many moments in this book where I actually just like have to stop reading it and just think about what I just read. Not in a bad way, but in a way that it's like, huh, prefaced it before. So the book leaves a mark in me, and it just shows how effective it is in delivering these informations. So I really won't spoil plenty of it because I highly recommend you to experience it yourself. It's not just about you getting knowledge out of it, it's also you about discovering things that are already within you and just bring it out. It doesn't dictate rules or it doesn't demand you with practices or anything, but it just calls to your own feelings within, and then you just expand it. That aligns with the goal of the book. The goal is just to improve your relationship with the divine. Although this book is, of course, written by a Muslim and aligned with Islamic teachings, but there's a universal feeling to it that even if you're non-Muslim, I still think you should check it out. There are some parts that forces you to like treat it like a meditation guide or something. So yeah. So in the sea of all the 4 and 5 star rating, I found like one star rating, and I was like, why? How? Like, is there a mole in our sacred order or something? But no, it's just a person with a really valid opinion, and I actually have to address this to you so that you can make a fair evaluation and a fair decision if you want to pick this book up. It addresses some issues of misinterpretation of Quranic verse. For instance, like the one where he blew his spirit into your mold of clay. We are fashioned with the breath of God's spirit. God then tells the angels to prostrate, not to the form of Adam, but to the spirit of God reflected within him. We are minded that had Allah not blown his breath into us, we would be nothing but dead earth. And that according to this person, that this verse does not mean that Allah blew his spirit into Adam, and that the spirit yearns to rejoin the main spirit from where it came from. The book basically interprets it like we have the spirit of God within us, and that, you know, that spirit is like just constantly looking to rejoin with God. It's not supposed to be interpreted that way. It's actually means that it's the spirit itself is not from God's essence. It's a spirit. That spirit is also God's creation. We should also be careful on how we describe Allah's attributes. So it's a very long comment, it's a very long thread. I think you should read it so that you can gain a lot more insight to what you're supposed to look out for in this book. And there's also other comments on how there are lack of representations from Sunni scholars and more leaning towards Sufi scholars. And then some even said that the author is Shia as part of the Sunni sect. I really have no problem with the author being Shia, especially when it resonates with Muslims in general. Honestly, this book contains quotes that are totally Instagrammable, but most importantly, it is also true. It also resonates with me as a normal Muslim day-to-day living my life, and that is also constantly just looking to improve myself. While I also don't think that you should get this book just for the sake of being Insta-worthy. I don't think religion should be an excuse for clout. Religion should come from your own sincerity in improvement and in change. I won't deny the fact that there are plenty of theological books out there, Muslim theological books, that are much more insightful and are written by actual experts. However, for the beginner, those books can definitely feel like a very harsh experience, and it makes you feel like you will never be enough. I don't remember what was it I read before, but I was like, not only it was kind of boring, it wasn't a pleasant reading experience. I mean, I do remember some of the parts that I've read. The content makes me feel so intimidated, but I would recommend this book for just starting out. You've picked this up and this book feels like a good old friend to you. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't grab those deep, advanced theological books at all. I'm just saying that grab those books once you are in a better state of mind, and while you are reading this, or maybe like after you finish reading this all at once, it is also advisable for you to get the journal. I picked up this journal early this year, and I started doing this a few months ago. And this journal works with accompanying this book. this journal also forces me to reread the book itself. I cannot show you because I've already written in it. Some of my answers for this journal are very personal, so I'm not going to tell you about. But yeah, in the first few pages, this book will start with like an introductory session, and then they also tell you pre-session, read the following sessions from Secrets of Divine Love. So it's basically, it tells you which chapter to read before you start with the questions like this one. So that was like the first question: what does divine love mean to you? There's about 10 questions in each chapter, and each session like has its own dedicated chapter in here. I've done up until session 3. However, there are some questions that I am unable to answer, which I will let you know what the question is about, including the introduction. It has a total of 14 sessions, called sessions in here, and it aligns with the book that has like also 14 chapters. I think that this is a great accompanying piece for you to actually practice what you learn in this book. As a matter of fact, even in Secrets of Divine Love, at the end of each chapter, you have this kind of a guide, like a meditation guide that they have. And in here, like in chapter 2, it tells you to like buy a journal and devote a few moments every morning when you wake up or at night before you go to sleep to write down 3 to 5 things for which you are grateful. And like if you have trouble coming up with things to be grateful for, consider the following that may apply. You can read, you can write, you are healthy, you can walk, you have the ability to think, you have a warm bed and a place to sleep, you have something to eat, you are safe, you have the means to go to school, you are loved, you have faith. You can see this page or hear these words. Make sure to engage your emotions and really feel gratitude for the things you have written down. In each chapters, they have these reflection cards, and I think it's really cool that, you know, these things might seem small, but you'll be surprised by how many of us take breathing and having a house for granted. I like how these reflections ended up, you know, being accompanied by the questions in this book. I also like in how in the end of every journal, I also love that they have like a small a short prayer that is written in English. Because it doesn't look like a prayer at first. I keep missing that part, but it is a prayer. So recite your prayers, ladies and gentlemen. Helwa did not just take references from Islam, but from the Bible as well. And I think that this is a very inclusive way that basically I was just saying we're all brothers in humanity. Most importantly, I also like all the stories, all the little bit of stories that she put in here, like a story about a young boy watching a butterfly. It's, of course, quotes from Rumi. I mean, come on, what's in Islamic self-help books without any quotes from Rumi? This book is very much needed and relevant. While I do understand the concerns of that 1-star comment, I still think that this is a good place for anyone to start. Of course, along with the journal as well. I still urge you to read the 1-star review. Like I said, it contains really valid comments. It also points out some of the inaccuracies as well as some recommendations. So maybe after you finish reading this book, you might actually check out the books that the commenter actually mentioned. Because this is, after all, it's a self-help book that forces you to look inward instead of just trying to say, do this, do that. So before I end this video, I want to ask you to help me answer this one question that I haven't been able to answer from chapter 2. I mean, like, I know that this is a journal and your answer is supposed to be very personal and that, you know, we all have differing answers, but I'm hoping that maybe by you providing your answers, maybe you can help me find my answer as well. Are you waiting for Allah to explain to you the wisdom behind something painful you have experienced in life? If so, what would happen if Allah did not unveil to you His perfect wisdom in this life? So, do you understand that question? Can you help me answer it? Please comment below with your answer. Okay, so salam Maal Hijrah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.